On the night of December 30th, 2000, in a quiet Tokyo neighborhood, the family of four in the Setagaya district settled into their usual routines. Mikio Miyazawa, a 44-year-old father, worked for an advertising company. His wife Yasuko taught lessons from home. Their daughter Nina was just 8 years old and their son Ray only 6. By all accounts, they were an ordinary family, loving, stable, comfortable. But what happened to them that night would become one of the most haunting and perplexing crimes in Japanese history. It began sometime after 11:30 p.m. Neighbors would later recall hearing strange noises, thuds, maybe even muffled cries, but nothing alarming enough to raise suspicion in the moment. Inside the house, an intruder had slipped in, most likely through a bathroom window at the back. Once inside, the killer attacked with brutal efficiency. 6-year-old Ray was strangled first, silencing the youngest member of the family. Yasuko and Nina were next, both stabbed multiple times with a sashimi knife. Finally, Mikio, the father, fought back against the attacker. He suffered numerous wounds, some defensive, but he too was ultimately overwhelmed. Within minutes, the Miyazawa family was gone. But here's where this case takes a terrifying turn. Unlike most killers who flee quickly, this intruder didn't leave. Instead, he made himself at home. After wiping blood from his hands, he went to the kitchen and helped himself to ice cream and melon. He drank several bottles of barley tea, even sat down at the family's computer and browsed the internet. Investigators believe he may have stayed in the house for several hours, perhaps until morning. When he finally left, he didn't bother to cover his tracks. In fact, he left behind more evidence than almost any other unidentified killer in modern Japanese history. At the scene, police recovered bloody footprints traced back to a pair of Schlesinger sneakers, an unusual brand in Japan. Fibers from clothing, likely from a sweater and jacket made in Korea, were found in the home. His DNA and fingerprints were all over the house, and even fecal matter was discovered in the toilet left unflushed. Yet despite this mountain of forensic clues, the man responsible has never been caught. The sheer recklessness of the crime raises chilling questions. Was the killer confident he wouldn't be identified? Or was he so detached from reality that he simply didn't care? Forensic testing revealed that his DNA carried markers suggesting he was of mixed East Asian heritage, possibly Japanese with Korean ancestry. Investigators even narrowed down his blood type, and later tests indicated his maternal lineage pointed toward Southern Europe. These details painted an odd, fragmented portrait of a suspect, but nothing concrete enough to match with a real person. Psychologists who studied the case suggested the killer might have been a loner, someone socially isolated, possibly suffering from delusions or an inability to connect with reality. Staying in the home after committing such violence suggests either shocking arrogance or severe psychological instability. He acted almost like the family's house was suddenly his own, a violation so profound it rattled the entire community. Neighbors described how, after the crime, the once close neighborhood grew quiet and fearful. Many families moved away. The house itself was left standing for years, boarded up, a grim reminder of what had happened inside. To this day, the Setagaya murders remain unsolved. The case file has been kept open for over 2 decades, with Japanese authorities periodically releasing new details in hopes of triggering a memory, a witness, or even a confession. But each lead has fizzled out and every forensic avenue has hit a dead end. It's as though the killer walked out of the house and vanished into thin air. What makes the Setagaya case so haunting isn't just the brutality of the crime, it's the intimacy. This wasn't a quick strike in the dark or a random robbery gone wrong. This was someone entering a home, destroying an entire family and then lingering in the aftermath as if nothing had happened. It's a violation not only of safety, but of the very idea of home. That's why, even after all these years, the story still grips Japan. Because the thought lingers. If someone could walk into an ordinary family's life, leave behind so much evidence, and still never be found, what does that say about the balance between safety and chaos? About how thin that line really is? The Setagaya murders remain one of Japan's darkest unsolved mysteries, a reminder that sometimes, even with science, technology, and time, there are questions we may never answer.